Today on the podcast, I'm joined by Heather O'Donnell from Kindergarten Ready Skills. Heather is a former kindergarten teacher as well as a mom of two. Her oldest is in first grade and her youngest is in pre-K this year, so her youngest will be in kindergarten next year. Back during the pandemic, Heather founded Kindergarten Ready Skills because she saw a need of preschool families and caregivers who were looking for ways to help support their children at home. They wanted to help their children learn and grow so that when they started kindergarten, they would find success right away. And as a former kindergarten teacher, Heather knew exactly what they needed for that success. Not only is Heather the founder of Kindergarten Ready Skills, she is also the creator of the Engaging Early Learning Summit, which is a brand new offer for families of children ages 2 through 6. Through this summit, Heather has gathered 25 amazing speakers who are going to be sharing tips and tricks with you all about how to work with your preschooler at home so that when they do head off to kindergarten, they're going to find success right away. I am lucky enough to be one of those speakers at the Engaging Early Learning Summit, and we would love for you to join us. If you are interested, please check out the links below. The doors are open now, and I don't want you to miss out. The summit is coming up, and it is going to be incredible. If you have any questions about this episode, you can reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at Littles Love Learning Blog, and you can also reach out to Heather. She is on Instagram at Kindergarten Readiness. Hey, Heather, welcome to the Littles Love Learning Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I am so excited that you are here. You are one of the teachers that I look up to online when it comes to helping prepare parents for their child transition to kindergarten, because your entire business is all about kindergarten readiness and helping support those parents, which I think is so needed in this space.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so too. I'm really, really passionate about kindergarten readiness.
So let's go back to the beginning because you used to be a teacher, and I would love to hear about your journey to becoming a teacher and what you're doing now.
So I taught kindergarten in a really inner city school, and it was an adventure, to put it mildly. But what I saw in that space, because of my 26 kindergartners, maybe three had had preschool experience. So many of the kids coming into me had, never seen a book before or colored with a crayon, had absolutely, like, they were coming into kindergarten carrying their sippy cups and not knowing, like, what to do in the classroom. And it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking because I could see the difference between those who came in with some preparedness and those who didn't. And in talking to so many of those families, and of course, that's like such an extreme example versus like the parents who are probably listening to this podcast right now. But in talking to so many of those families, I heard from many of them that they wanted to prepare their children, but they weren't really sure what they should do. And when we think back on our own educations, we oftentimes think to like first, second grade, like addition or like reading chapter books. And we forget about those early stages of learning because we were so young. And so many of the families didn't know about the importance of basic things like having their children color with crayons. That to them felt like playing and not very important developmental activities. And and so it really shaped my thinking about this stage in education and how important it is.
I love that so much because you're right. For teachers, when you go through your degree, you learn about the importance of all of those foundational skills. But if you're a parent and you have your own career or you have your own responsibilities in life, you're not thinking about the basics of early childhood education like we are. And so you were able to see that that was a problem for those parents, not knowing. They didn't even know it was a problem, probably at the time. They just assumed what they were doing was fine, sending their child to kindergarten without any of those skills.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
how many years were you a teacher?
I was a teacher for about 5 years in kindergarten. I did 1 year in first, and then I did a few years as a reading specialist after that.
Was kindergarten your favorite?
Yeah, it was. It was. Yep.
Kindergarten is so much fun. I've done kindergarten and I did first and second grade, and there's such a big difference between beginning of the year kindergartners and beginning of the year first graders. It is night and day.
Yes. Yes, that is so true.
What was your favorite part when you were in the classroom?
I just loved like the one-on-one time with kids. We were really big into like pulling the reading groups and working individually. And that was my favorite part, like seeing someone learn something that they didn't know the last time I saw them. Just like amazing. Such a good feeling.
It is such a good feeling. And what was maybe the most challenging part? It sounds like it was a challenging experience for you.
The whole thing was really kind of a challenge. It wasn't the most well-run school environment. And 26 kindergartners in a room by myself were like, there were some definite like behavior things happening. It was definitely an adventure, but I learned so much from that experience.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure you have a lot of memories and stories from that time. Now, let's talk about what you're doing now. You're out of the classroom, but you are still supporting parents on this kindergarten readiness journey with kindergarten ready skills.
Yes. So in 2020, I started this business, Kindergarten Ready Skills. My kids were 3 months old and almost three at that point. And so my oldest was really in that stage of like starting to get into this kindergarten readiness stuff. And it also was 2020 when I started it. So, the world was chaos. And there were so many people I knew, families that I knew reaching out to me to ask, what should I be doing with my kid while they're home with me during the pandemic? And so that really spurred me to see this need and fill that gap with kindergarten ready skills where we help preschool moms prepare their kids for kindergarten.
Well, that was definitely a crazy time. I also had littles of learning at the time, and I remember the influx of requests, parents needing support, not knowing what they should do with their little one at home. That actually spurred me to teach a year of virtual preschool because I had parents asking me, could you please help us through this journey? And so I think parents actually during that time saw the importance of learning at home because now they couldn't just send their child to preschool and expect or assume that the preschool teacher would take care of everything. They saw that they had this responsibility at home to help. And so I loved that because that is very important, I think, for parents to be involved, whether your child goes to school outside the home or just is homeschooled. It's important for parents to have that role as well.
Absolutely so important.
So let's talk about kindergarten ready skills and what you offer for families, how you help support them.
So we have many digital products, which are basically to take the work away from actually having to create the resources that you use with your children. So we have so many printable and digital learning tools. I have an alphabet learning kit, which is our best selling product. Um, it teaches you how to teach your kid with like really helping the parent along that journey, letter names, letter sounds, and letter writing. And then my favorite product on the kindergarten ready side of my business is Kindergarten Ready Club, which is our monthly membership where we support 800 plus families in monthly learning activities so that they always have exactly what they need to teach their 2 to 6 year old at their fingertips.
That's so great that you offer that, especially because I see so many printables and activities on Pinterest or on Instagram that aren't teaching the skills in the best way. I've seen you post that you never use the word ant for the letter A because for short vowel A, that sound, when you have a nasal sound after it, like N, it makes that A whiny. And so instead of an, it becomes an ant. And you specifically call out, I would never use ant for short vowel A because it's not a pure sound. And I think that is really helpful because it might not seem important to parents. They might think, what is the difference? But when you're a kid and you're trying to blend sounds and you have a short vowel A, but it's making that whiny sound, it's completely different. It totally throws them off. So getting your advice and your printables from an expert, former kindergarten teacher, absolutely makes a difference.
Absolutely. That is why you need to find someone that you trust, who's an educator who has that experience, and choose resources wisely versus just grabbing that like dollar store Target workbook that probably is not even created by an educator.
Oh, those are the worst. I always see those at Target. And I think, yes, it is inexpensive, but it is not teaching your child what they need to know in the correct way. So I'm glad that there are experts like you out there sharing the right way.
Thank you. I agree.
Now, I heard you mention on the kindergarten ready side of your business, this is what you offer, but you actually have another business that I would love for you to share a little bit about.
Yeah, so after doing kindergarten ready for a few years, I kept hearing from so many other teachers or homeschool moms that they wanted to know more about the business part of my business. And so in 2023, I created Teacher Biz, which helps teachers create profitable, enjoyable online businesses because it totally matters if you're enjoying the work that you do. And teacher is kind of a broad term there. Any kind of educator, any, homeschool parent absolutely counts. Anyone with a skill that they want to teach falls under that umbrella. Um, and so I've been working on that for a couple years now. It's really, really been so fun to talk about the business part of business and teach people things that I'm so nerdy about, like marketing and business strategy, and things like that that I love. So it's been really fun.
Well, I love listening to your podcast. You have the Teacher Biz podcast because, of course, with Little Love Learning, it is a small business. I am a small business owner, so I am always looking for those tips and strategies on how to improve my own business. And I just think it's cool that we can think teachers who have this knowledge about how to help kids or how to support other teachers can share it with the world, and they can share it in a way that is going to be seen and heard. And I love that you give them that empowering tool to share their message.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the more of us, the better out here. The internet is a really big place. And so it's never a competition thing. It's always a let's lift each other up and help as many people as we can together kind of a thing. And it's really been fun.
Yes, we cheer each other on. That is for sure. Now, for kindergarten readiness, I have a lot of preschool parents and teachers who listen to this. So I would love to talk about some of the skills that you see as most important for little ones who are transitioning to kindergarten.
So I think we have to think about this in two really distinct sections of skills. So there are the academic skills, which are mostly what parents want to ask about, I think. And so, things like critical thinking, how to think, how to learn, communication, literacy, which is, phonics and early reading skills, and math, which is mostly number sense at that age, but also things like shapes and colors and all of that. That all falls under the academic umbrella. But none of that does us so much good if we don't also piece in the social skills and emotional intelligence skills that go alongside that. So while teaching those academic things are so important, don't forget to also be working with your child on how to share, how to wait a turn, how to, make a line, how to sit and wait patiently for a minute, how to use the bathroom independently and
Mhm.
find a tissue when you need one and all of those like being a person type skills that they don't know. And it's so easy for us to forget that they don't know those things yet.
That's true. And you're right. Most parents, when they're searching kindergarten readiness, will be thinking about the academic side, which of course is important. We need to lay those foundational skills early, but it's not the only piece. And so you always advocate for both sides, not only the academic skills, but also those independent skills, social emotional skills, fine motor skills. All of that is necessary for success in kindergarten, too.
Absolutely. Um, if your listeners are the type of or if they're thinking more towards academic kindergarten readiness, I can give them a few quick things
That would be great.
along those lines that they can, maybe walk away with. And one on the literacy reading side of things is just the importance of letter sounds that I love to point out to my families because when we learned how to read, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but when I learned how to read and, many parents of this like age group, we learned the whole language method where we were memorizing words, and that's what we think of. And so much research has been done to prove that that actually is not the best way to learn how to read. And what our kiddos will use now is actually the letter sounds that they hear in words. And that's the early stage of beginning to read. So letter sounds often don't seem so important to parents, but they are so important for our kiddos and for those early reading skills. And so don't skip over the letter sounds.
Totally agree. Listeners will know that I absolutely talk about letter sounds all of the time. And I love to start with the letter sounds and then match those sounds to the printed letters. I do teach letter sounds and letter names at the same time, but I find many parents just teach letter names, not knowing that the sounds are important, like you mentioned. So we want to make sure that we're teaching all of that at the same time.
Absolutely. The other thing I find is with math that we think about early math skills and we circle back to like addition and subtraction and what is one plus one. And we forget about all of the work that happens before we get to those addition subtraction type skills. And what's really important to focus on with our little ones is number sense and the relationships of numbers to one another. What is bigger? What is smaller? What is, greater and less than if you want to be fancy. But just in the beginning, like let them think about the relationships of numbers to one another. Let them count and know, the last number that I say is the amount that this group is. That is just so important. And we need years to learn those number sense skills before we're ever ready for addition and subtraction.
You're so right. I was just assessing in first grade the other day when I was volunteering, and that's exactly what we were assessing on. Are you able to count with a one-to-one correspondence and know that the last number you said is the number of the whole group? And it's amazing that kids will just push. We were using buttons. Push a button and say 1, 2, or push a button and say 3, 4, instead of realizing that one button is one number and having that one-to-one correspondence. All of those really simple skills we take for granted, they need that explicit instruction in.
Absolutely, and it's easy when you know and you're aware of that to work it into your day in a way that doesn't, like, require you to sit down for 20 minutes and teach a skill. When you're playing with your child and they have their toys spread out all over the floor, like we all know that they do, they can just be counting those toys as they pick them up and put them back in the bucket or, one side of the room to the other, something like that. And when we do that every day, that's when we ingrain those skills in our children and it becomes second nature to them.
Absolutely. And when you include movement like that, then they're really going to remember those skills so much better. And you have 2 of your own kids, and your oldest is now in first grade. That's correct?
Yes, yes, he just
Yes.
started first grade. Um, and he's doing really well. We always miss them so much in September and then we get used to it and later in the year, but
It's
September is
hard
a
in the
hard time where
beginning.
like he's there and I miss him. And then my youngest is 4 years old. So she is in pre-K 4, 3 days a week. She goes in the mornings to have that like pure interaction. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, she's with me. And so we kind of do a mix of both things where I work with her at home a little bit and also she goes out to preschool. But yeah, I
So
do. Uh,
you have experience in both ways preparing kids, not only as a teacher, but also as a mom, since your oldest has been through kindergarten, transitioned, I'm sure, just fine. And now your youngest, will she be in kindergarten next year?
yeah, she will be.
Oh, that's so exciting. I love that 4-year-old age, that pre-K age when they learn so much. They're little sponges and they're still so excited about everything you want to do. It's so much fun.
Yes. Yeah. They're both pretty excited still. I love it.
That's great. And they're very lucky to have you as their mom because then you know what you need to do at home to help make sure that transition goes smoothly.
Thank you.
So now I wanted to invite you on this podcast to talk about something extra special that you're doing with Kindergarten Ready. This is something brand new that you have never done before, and you are trying to help support parents of kids ages 2 to 6 with something new. So I want you to share all about that.
So we are doing the Engaging Early Learning Summit, which is just this collection of 25 plus powerhouse speakers that cover all of the things we've talked about here, social emotional skills, mindfulness, things like that, and also academic skills. These are teachers and homeschool moms, experts on a variety of categories. And we're all coming together to bring this event to families of 2 to 6 year olds who are interested in learning more skills to help their children learn. So, whether you are brand new to helping your child learn at home, or if you just want a few more tools in your toolbox to pull from, then this is going to be a great event for you to come to. I hear from my community all of the time that they can't help their child learn because their kiddo can't sit still or they're not enjoying the learning. It becomes kind of like a struggle. And so this event is really designed to help you learn how to teach your child at home, even if they can't sit still, even if, they have a 2-minute attention span. And even if, it's a struggle right now, our goal is to help you move away from that struggle and make the whole process enjoyable for your whole family, for you and for your child, so that they learn how to love learning, which is so important during these early years.
Yes, loving learning. That's what we want to set them up to do. And like you said, most kids can't sit for 2 minutes, or most kids don't have that long attention span in preschool. And sometimes I think parents think there's a problem or something is wrong if that is the case. But that's totally normal. We want to work with your child's lack of attention, with your child's interest in order to make learning fun. And that's what these speakers are going to be sharing with you.
Absolutely.
So, why don't you tell us the dates of this summit? Because as listeners are listening, when this episode is live, the doors will be open.
So it starts on September 23rd. That is our first day of the summit, and it will be a 4-day event. So we'll run through the 26th. But I encourage your listeners to sign up as soon as possible to register and get their ticket because there's a free Facebook group that goes along with the summit for all attendees. Anyone who has signed up for that free ticket is invited to the Facebook group, and it will be a party in there. There'll be giveaways and contests and so much support from the speakers, but also the whole rest of the community that is in the same place as you are if you're coming to this event. And our goal is really to make it fun for the moms who are in there. I really believe that moms need more fun in their lives. We don't need another thing that feels like work. And so that is our goal with the community. And the sooner you get in there, the more that you'll learn, the more that you'll be able to participate. And the prizes are really fun too.
Oh, I cannot wait. So I am a speaker at this summit, which I'm super excited about, but I am also an attendee. So I will be in that free Facebook group. I will be participating in all of those giveaways and all of those fun raffles and learning from the other speakers. Both of my kids have already gone through kindergarten, transitioned lovely, but since this is part of my job, it's important for me to learn from other experts and from other speakers so I can see how I can best support my own community as well. So I'll definitely be checking out those presentations.
I love that. I'm so glad to have you as a speaker, and I think people will just learn so much from this event. I'm really excited about it.
So I'm excited the way you have it operating too. It's a 4-day event, so it's not something that is going to span forever. But let's say that a parent can't get into those talks on those 4 days because we all know parents are super busy. What are you going to be offering for them?
So we have a VIP pass option. Anyone who signs up for the free ticket will see this option after they register. Hot tip for your listeners that once you register, you'll see the VIP pass for the lowest price that it will be offered to you for. So I encourage you to snag it right away if you know that that's something that you want. But basically, it will give you instant lifetime access to all of the presentations, which means you don't have to wait until September 23rd. You can start diving in right away and you can watch them on your own schedule, which I know as a mom is so important because our time is not our own. It belongs to our children, right? And then there are also some really great what we're calling pass holder perks, which are bonuses from our speakers. I know you have a great bonus in there, Erin. And there's just a collection of so many resources that you could pick and choose through to support you even more with everything that you're learning from the summit. So it is a $2,047 value,
Wow.
and you'll be able to get it at a big discount from that.
What a nice option that you have for families who maybe can't afford the VIP ticket. Although, like you said, it is a very low option. So people will see when they register that it's less than what you are thinking, I promise. But you have that free option if families need to take advantage of that. But then you also do have that upgrade so that if families need more time or they need to watch it on their own schedule or they want to get all of those what did you call them?
Pass
Pass
holder
holder
perks.
perks. Oh, I love that. You know, I love alliteration. Littles love learning,
I
obviously.
do too.
That's really nice. And yes, I do have one of those perks in there that I have donated to this because we as speakers, we want to support families as best we can. So we are trying to give all of our best information, our best printables, so that you can make sure learning is fun and engaging for your little one.
I love it. It's going to be a really, really fun event. So I encourage people to use your link, Karen, to sign up, to register, and join us. And it's going to be so much fun while we're learning, we're teaching you all of these valuable skills to help your kiddo learn.
And how nice to have a summit just for parents of this age group. There are so many summits offered online. They might be for business owners or maybe for teachers, but this is really for families. This is really for parents that we want to help support you. We're not forgetting about you. Sometimes I feel like parents feel like they're being forgotten about, especially in this age range of the 2 to 6 year olds. We know how hard it is. We are right there with you as moms, as professionals. We get it. And so this is our way of helping to support you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, as we wrap up this episode, Heather, this has been so much fun. You have shared so much valuable information with us. What do you hope that listeners' biggest takeaway is?
I hope that they take action and join us for this summit so they can learn even more about what we have to teach them about these early learning years.
If you join this summit and you take action on what we are sharing, your child is going to be so prepared by the time they get to kindergarten. Because even if you have a 2-year-old, that's great. Then you have even more years to work on these skills. And if you have a 4-year-old like Heather does, you still have time. So, like she said, take action so that when your child heads to kindergarten, they will be so ready.
Absolutely.
Well, Heather, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. Since this is called the Littles Love Learning podcast, I always ask my guests, what do you love most about working with littles?
I love seeing the difference that a week or a month or a year can make in your child's learning and seeing just, if you could record or save a piece of their writing. Oh my gosh, if you have a 2-year-old, save a piece of their writing, which they can absolutely write, and it will probably look like scribbles on paper. But if you do that every year and see the transition of how much they grow because they grow so rapidly at this age. It's just amazing to see and so fun to look at back at, especially with your own children.
That is such good advice. In fact, I just stumbled on a video yesterday of my son when he was 3 and he wrote his very first H, letter H,
Um,
and he was so excited. He wrote it all over his paper and then started scribbling, of course. But it was so much fun to think back now that he is 6 and in first grade. And of course, his handwriting is so different. It really is fun to document that growth.
yes, it is.
All right, Heather. Well, thank you again for your time. Will you share with everyone where they can find you online?
Yes. So kindergartenreadyskills.com is my main website. You can also find me on Instagram at kindergarten readiness. For the Teacher Biz side of my business, there's teacherbiz.com and the Teacher Biz podcast, and I'm at Teacher Biz on Instagram over there. But the very best way to find me will be at the Engaging Early Learning Summit. So I encourage you to use Erin's link and join us for that event, and we'll get to know each other better there.
And I will link all of that below. Thank you again, Heather, for your time. And listeners, we will see you inside the summit.
Thanks so much.